Good evening, SportsZone. How's everybody doing out there tonight? I am Mike Gaglioloro. I am your host for this is Sports Zone. Coming to you live like we do each and every week here via the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Radio Network. We got a good show for you tonight. We'll be joined by Dave Hastings in a matter of moments, and hopefully we get Erich on here tonight too. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We got the NFL draft coming up in a couple of days. We have first round of the NBA playoffs to talk about. I got baseball to talk about too. And let's be honest, because it's me, Dave, and Erich, we're going to wind up talking Game of Thrones, and we will probably wind up talking a little bit about the movie that is coming out this Friday. I'm going to see it Thursday night, talking about Avengers Endgame. And anybody who has listened to this show for any amount of time knows we generally go nuts for these comic book movies. Me personally, I've been a fan of comic books since I was a kid. Stopped reading comic books in high school, but what Marvel has done with the MCU is something we're never going to see again in our lifetime. Just like Game of Thrones. I don't know if I would call Game of Thrones my favorite show of all time. I probably would not. But when you look at the scope of what this show is, what it's become, it's something I don't think we're going to see again. And as my cousin David is pointing out in the chat room, last night was the big world premiere for all the critics for Avengers Endgame, and yes, they've had very glowing reviews about it. I am staying as far away from those reviews as I possibly can. I want nothing to do with any sort of spoilers. It's funny because the trailer that came out, I guess it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, to announce that the tickets went on sale, and I think we actually talked about it on the show. I loved the trailer, but as soon as I watched the trailer, I was like, damn. Wish I hadn't seen that, because they put a couple things in that trailer that in my head I was just like, man, I really would have liked to have seen that in the movie rather than see it in the trailer. And as my cousin David is also pointing out, yeah, some douchebag last week, I guess there were early critic screenings or something, and some schmuck filmed 4 minutes of the last hour of the movie and put it online. And then you got all the idiots online who would take the footage and sneak it into like different videos or whatever, just to ruin the experience for people. But with that, we have Erich here tonight. Erich, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. So I'll tell you what, before we get started on the sports talk and everything, are you pumped for Avengers Endgame this week?
I am, but I don't know if I'm going to see it this weekend. So I don't have my tickets like you guys do yet.
Yeah, no, I bought my ticket on Sunday. I know a place that never really sells out early, and I got my ticket 6 o'clock on Thursday. But let me ask you something. Did you hear about this last week? Because my cousin brought it up in the chat room. I was talking about it a little bit. The asshole who filmed 4 minutes of the last hour of the movie at some press screening or whatever it was and put it online, and people were like,
I'll be honest.
Let me just finish. People were sneaking the clip into like other YouTube videos or something just to troll people. You hear about this?
Yeah, I've heard about it, but very briefly, because I've avoided a lot of social media and a lot of talking to a lot of people about it. I just don't bring it up in conversations. I'm trying to keep that going until I see it, because I don't want anything spoiled and I don't want anything ruined for me. And there's a lot of spoilers out there, so I'd rather not get into them. I want to go in and enjoy it for what it is.
Absolutely, I'm with you on that. And with that, we have Dave Hastings here tonight as well. Dave, how you doing?
Doing good, Mike. Doing good. What's up, Erich?
What's going on, Dave?
So, Dave, what we were talking about, did you hear about the schmuck last week who filmed like 4 minutes of the last hour of the Avengers Endgame and released it online, and people were like sneaking it into different YouTube videos and spamming comment sections with the spoilers and everything?
No, I can't say I have heard about that.
Well, you are protected then, so good for you. But dickheads like that deserve some sort of punishment. I don't know what it is. What do you guys think an appropriate punishment would be for an asshole who does something like that?
Well, I mean, technically, Marvel Studios can sue them for distributing something they're not allowed to distribute.
That's a good point. Eric, what do you say?
I say, the social justice happens when those people eventually do get, brought out. A lot of people just troll them online and whatnot. So, I mean, that's about all punishment you can really expect in today's day and age.
Unfortunately, I agree with you on that. All right, let's move on a little bit here. I tell you what, we would normally save this for the end of the show, but I want to start off the show with this. Who watched Game of Thrones this week? You guys watched Game of Thrones this week, right?
I'm up to date.
Okay, Eric?
And just another disappointing episode.
Oh, you know something? I knew you were going to say that, but I'm going to totally disagree with you because here's the thing. I told you guys last week we were getting the battle in episode 3. I told you we weren't having the battle this week. This was the best dialogue-driven episode Game of Thrones has done in about 2 or 3 years. I loved every second of this episode this week. And it just built the tension perfectly. And next week, you gave me a big battle. So why were you disappointed by it?
Because it's just no action. It's just boring dialogue that everybody already knows. But I get it. It's revelations to these characters. But it is, though.
It isn't.
I didn't need to see half of Macy Williams' titty. I didn't need it. It was just unnecessary. There were certain things that, I just felt were unnecessary.
Dave, please chime in here.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I think one thing we'll all agree in that scene was everybody was like, wait, how old is this girl?
Yes.
Yeah, she's like 22, though, so it's all right.
I think she's 20, actually. Yeah.
That was Googled very quickly. But, I mean, look, all in all, I mean, I'm with Eric on the side of the disappointment because we waited 2+ years, and it's like, what were we waiting for? Like, these episodes could have been like, hell, give us 2 teaser episodes and then save 6 episodes for the end. I don't know. Like, that part was disappointing to me. Like, I was expecting something. I mean, obviously, the way they ended it with the cliffhanger, letting you know that, the Army of the Dead is right outside of Winterfell. I mean, I get it. You're leading up and building up to what's supposed to be the craziest battle that's ever been filmed in TV or film history. So it better be freaking good. But, I mean, there are parts about it I like. There's some type of thing that is taught into everybody hiding in the crypts. I don't know what the hell it is. Can the Night King rise the dead that are in the crypts? Are the dead gonna rise because they're all Starks and protect Winterfell? I mean, you got some question marks there. I think that's interesting. Brienne getting knighted was really cool.
That was awesome. That was the best part of the episode to me.
I disagree. I didn't love it. What I needed for it, it's unneeded. If she goes and dies in battle, what the hell was the point of it? 5 guys sitting around a circle know she was knighted? Ooh, big whoop-de-doo. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of the overall battle plans, everything else. It does not matter.
How dare you, sir? How dare you? I disagree totally.
The best part of that whole scene was Tormund being all creepy. That was about it.
Tormund was hysterical. Tormund was hysterical. I'm sorry. When she gets knighted and he looks like a freaking kid at a candy store applauding, he was the audience applauding. He was speaking for the audience there. Maybe not you, Eric, because you have no soul, apparently. But he was definitely speaking for the large majority of the audience on that one. Listen,
you have dragons and you have White Walkers. I saw 0 dragons and I saw 3 seconds of White Walker. We are in season 8, episode 2 of a 6-episode season.
You are getting it out.
The coolest thing this show has to offer, we saw none of one of them and 8 seconds of the other. All teasing up to this battle. I get it. The battle's coming. Winter is coming. We've heard this for 8 seasons. Get to it already. And then they only have a short amount of time to figure out what happens in the aftermath. So, I mean, Let's move it along here, people.
Oh, stop. Every episode from here on out is going to be an hour and 20 minutes. So you're going to get an hour and 20 minutes of White Walkers and Dragons and everything you want next week. I'm telling you that right now. So, all right. I totally disagree with you. Completely. I love that episode. I loved everything about it. To say it was boring dialogue is just
unnecessary. Unnecessary things to be doing in the final season. If you wanted to knight her, you should have knighted her 2 seasons ago.
No,
we are too far along for 5 guys sitting in a chamber to give a damn about knighting somebody when they all could die tomorrow. I'm sorry, I'm out.
But no. Here's the thing. The last thing I'm going to say about this, and then Dave, you can close out. We can move on here. Every time you have the big episode-long battle, whether it was the Battle of Blackwater or the Battle on the Wall or the Battle of the Bastards, you always have moments like these right before the battle. You got a whole episode of that now because you're getting an hour and a half of a battle next week. Simple as that.
I hope so.
Yeah, you are, dude. You are. I've heard, like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who lives or dies. They've been saying it for about 3 months now. Episode 3, that's the episode. Battle of Winterfell. Half those people will die, which is sad because it was a great episode that made you love every single one of them even more. So, I don't know. I love the episode though. That was one of my favorite episodes of the last 3 seasons, without question. Dave, any final thoughts?
Like I said, I'm kind of right in the middle of the two of you guys. There were parts of the episode I really liked and things I enjoyed about it, but all in all, with only 6 episodes left, I expected them to be diving into things a lot quicker than they have.
Things are going to start to move really fast, I think, and I think it'll all flow perfectly. And when you go back and watch them at the end of the season, because if you decide to watch them all back to back when we get them all, I think it'll all flow perfectly. Anyway. So let's dive into the world of sports. We got the draft coming up on Thursday, but before we kind of look at that, Eric, I usually start with Dave if he has anything he'd like to say. But Eric, seeing as how you're here early tonight, do you have anything you would like to talk about this
week? I mean, injury woes for the Yankees. That's about it. I guess it's just. Now Judge is down. They're down, I think, 13 guys on the injured list right now. It's pretty rough, but yet they're still winning. They're winning. They're 12-10. They're actually, I think, as good as the Mets are right now, which is shocking considering the amount of injuries we have.
Well, I'll tell you that you are right. It is the same record. And I'll tell you this: for you guys, you're winning with the C team, as cousin David says in the chat room. And the Mets right now are lucky to be 12-10 because whereas the offense has really kind of carried us this year, God, our pitching staff sucks. I don't know what the hell it is. When the best news is that the Grom's MRI showed up nothing, it's just bad right now. Even though the Mets are up 8-0 right now, Todd Frazier hit a grand slam, so we got that going. But are you worried about all these injuries here? Like, Clint Frazier has looked very good so far. So you're going to keep him up with Judge out. But, I mean, are you worried about all these injuries right now?
You got to be a little bit, but, I mean, at least they're early in the year, and not a lot of them seem very serious. So, nobody seems to be season ending. So, with, that being said, I think that, with time, I think we're going to start getting some guys back and the team will start, rounding into form. But for now, we're just trying to string a lineup together day to day and, hoping to, keep winning ball games while we're doing it, So the horses come back. We gotta keep plowing along.
And were you surprised that the Yankees let Gio Gonzalez go?
No, because of the contract that he had. If the Yankees were going to keep him, he was only making like a small base, but every start was worth it. He got a bonus of $300,000 for every start. And if the Yankees didn't use him, they had to release him by I think like it was like April 29th or something. So no, I'm not surprised.
No, it was April 20th.
Or whatever it was.
It was the 20th.
Yeah, so I knew it was right around the deadline that they let him go. He asked for the release. They let him do it. They just don't have room for him right now in the rotation necessarily. With Herman's been pitching well, so it just didn't feel like it was worth the money to bring him up and use him in the rotation. So they're letting him move on.
Absolutely. All right. So I guess that'll do it for baseball talk for us for tonight. Dave, where would you like to go next?
Well, I mean, just to kind of dive into what you guys are talking about, I mean, you know, I think it's fair to say if you're going to have injury issues, you'd rather have them early and just keep yourselves in contention and then hope that, you know, everybody's healthy for that late July through October push. And, you know, you're still able to make a run at things, which I think everybody would agree when healthy, the Yankees have that potential to do so. So,
I mean, when
health
health,
deal with the injuries, you rather have them now, I guess you'd say.
yeah, that's a good point. When healthy, I'll give you this, Eric. The Yankees probably are better off than the Red Sox when both teams are healthy, at least on paper. So you got that. All right, Dave. I throw it to you though. Anything else stick out to you this week?
I mean, I think the biggest thing that kind of stuck out to me was actually what happened today with the trade between the Chiefs and Seahawks, getting the Seahawks defensive end for a first, second, swapping their third-round picks for next year, and then also including a new contract for the guy as well. And he's getting just as much, or I think a little bit more than DeMarcus Lawrence got. So, I mean, seeing that one was kind of shocking to me after they, you know, traded away D Ford and, you know, let Justin Houston go. You know, that move kind of surprised me, and I didn't see that one coming at all.
Yeah, I mean, we had kind of heard rumblings that they were shopping Frank Clark in recent days. I'm not going to pretend to know a lot about this guy to really make a decision. I mean, I feel like every week you hear of someone that's supposedly one of the best players at his position and it winds up being a new name. 9 times out of 10, it's someone I feel like I have to read up on. So him I know nothing about really. So maybe one of you guys can fill me in here.
I mean, he's a good combination defensive end. He's a pretty good pass rusher. He's good against the run. I mean, they're not wrong in what they're saying about him talent-wise, but when you got a guy like D Ford on your team and you already can have him under the franchise tag, to make a move like this kind of just seems like you tried to take a step forward and ended up taking 2 steps backwards.
Yeah, because the contract, 5 years, $105.5 million, includes $63.5 million guaranteed. This sounds like another Olivier Vernon contract to me.
I mean, it could be. I mean, look, the guy's good. He's also younger than Vernon when the Giants signed him. But, I mean, to make a move like this, I think you're putting the value on him that he hasn't earned yet, I guess is the best way to say it.
Gotcha. Eric, what do you say?
How about the trade? I mean, I guess if the Seahawks are looking to unload him, you could draft somebody younger than him in the draft and not have to worry about paying him for the next, 4 or 5 years. And I think it's worth it to them. They obviously didn't want to pay Clark. Clark didn't really want to sign the franchise tag, so they made something that worked for both of them. I don't think it's as smart for the Chiefs, but, to be determined. If he comes there and he, helps the defense and they wreck house, then maybe it's worth it to him. But I just think that probably could have drafted somebody to be that for you. And I don't know. I guess I like the move more for the Seahawks than I do for the Chiefs.
I'd agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we got nothing else on football for now because we'll talk a little bit about the NFL draft in a little while. But let's talk some NBA playoffs real quick because we got some Game 4s going on tonight, or Game 5s. Philly is up 60-31 over Brooklyn as they look to close out, and you got Toronto up 114-78 in the fourth quarter here. What are you guys' thoughts on the first round of the playoffs? I know we all kind of feel like these things are just building to the Warriors eventually winning the championship again. But anybody see anything that stick out to them? Dave?
I mean, look, Giannis is playing like a monster. James Harden may be the greatest actor in NBA history at faking fouls. I think Boston is starting to look like what a lot of us expected them to look like all year, which really sets up a nice second round matchup between Boston and Milwaukee. What Utah did to stay alive last night and force a game 5, that was impressive. What Donovan Mitchell was able to pull off. I think he dropped 19 in the fourth quarter. But, when it's really all said and done, I mean, that Houston Golden State series, I think next round is going to be maybe your best series of the entire playoffs, including the championship. So, I'm looking forward to that. But the teams that you expected to do well are doing well. I mean, Toronto is Toronto, and they're stumbled a little bit, but they should be able to lock that series up. The Nets look like they're about to get swept tonight, so should get wrapped up tonight. I think all in all, the first round was kind of what you expected it for, and to me, really kind of continues the fact that I think the NBA should do a best 16 teams and not 8 and 8 from each conference.
Well, I'll tell you the one thing that I'm noticing looking through all this, you only have one series that's tied at 2-2. Every other series is 3-1. Celtics winning 4 games, 3-1, 3-1, 3-1. Everything else. It's only the Nuggets and the Spurs that are at 2-2. So you're really seeing the disparity between the top of the conferences and the bottom of the conferences here. I mean, especially in the Eastern Conference, where you got all these teams that wind up hovering around 500 and making it to the playoffs. So I guess that kind of goes to your point about the 16 teams
there. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to have 16 teams, you might as well have the 16 best.
True. Eric, what do you say?
Overall playoffs wise, Westbrook's struggling. Harden is, just crying, and I agree with Dave. He's such an actor. It's pretty ridiculous. I mean, he's also choking too, because I mean, I'll tell you what, if they should have wrapped that up. They really should have. And the fact that they let Utah back in that game and let Utah win, was the last night or or was it the night before? I can't remember. But I'm just interested to see if Harden can step up. I agree that next round, that is the matchup everybody wants to see in the playoffs, regardless of whatever the championship's going to be or the conference finals are going to be. Everybody wants to see what that Houston Golden State series is going to look like. The 76ers are just a bunch of amateur bitches, in my opinion. I'm just over them. They want to pick fights with like Jared Dudley. Come on, and then call him a nobody. It's like, you guys are the ones picking fights. You guys are the ones acting like buffoons and being immature. You guys want to sit there and press them. I didn't feel. I'm over them. Just grow up. Show me the process of you maturing. That's the process I want to see now. I'm over you. Over Philly.
Well, they definitely do not look good out of everything that happened with the fight. Like, I think Dudley probably got a little too amped up and may have kind of just, I think he could have handled himself a little better, but Embiid definitely does not look good at this. I can tell you that. So I agree with you on that one.
These guys are supposed to be superstars, supposed to be, the next big team. And they're out here, getting physical with the Nets. Come on, stop it. That's the rivalry you're going to build up there, is the Nets. Like, get out of here. Sorry, you're going to get beat by Toronto, wherever you're playing the next round. Anyway, so I'm just, because I believe it's Celtics Bucks next round.
Yes.
And then 76ers Raptors. I honestly think the Raptors are going to beat them. I think Kawhi's going to beat them. So I'm just over the 76ers. And then they can go back home and cry in Philly about, we're still going through the process, me. Over them.
Let me ask you guys something, because Dave, do you have any response you'd like to say to that?
Well, I mean, look, I don't think Eric's wrong with anything. I mean, especially to pick a fight with a guy like Dudley, who's been in the league. I mean, he's 16, 17 years in now, and he's never been a superstar. I think he maybe pulled off one All-Star appearance, but for the most part, the guy's been a consistent, player in the league and has always found a spot on a roster. And considering the amount of talent that flows into the league every single year, that's hard to do. So, I think it's also one of those things where you want to be competitive and you want to win, but there's also a certain level of respect for the game itself. So, I'm with Eric. I think they really do kind of come across as really just basic jackasses when it's all said and done. So I think that's hitting the nail right on the head. And I also think, to me, they're a team that has a lot of potential and a lot of talent, and there's a good chance it ends up going to waste. A lot, mainly due to the attitude and mentality they carry themselves with.
Yeah, you definitely have a point. See, I got a question for you guys, because this is what I was just kind of thinking of. We talk about all the time about changing the format of the NBA playoffs. And then you got in the NHL, I mean, they don't have a 1 through 16, but they have something different, which I didn't really realize. Like, I remember hearing something about it years ago when it first came into effect, but I didn't really realize it until last week when we were looking at stuff for the show. The way they do their playoff format, where you have the top 2 division winners, you have 2 wild card teams from the entire conference or whatever it is, and then you have 2 other teams in each division play each other off, and then you kind of go from there throughout. Which format for the playoffs do you guys think is better, the NBA format or the NHL format? Eric, I can start with you on this one. Go right ahead.
I don't have a preference. I haven't seen enough with the NHL. They just switched this a couple of years ago, so still trying to see how it plays out. But, it could be a model if the NBA wanted to try and change things up. I just think it's too hard no matter what you do in the NBA because it's too top-heavy. It's just too top-heavy. No matter what, you'd still be looking at the playoffs going, I still think Golden State's coming out going to the championship. You know what I mean? Like, now who they're playing, you don't know, but it doesn't really matter at this point because, Warriors are bust. It's still too top-heavy. It's still the top 4 or 5, maybe 6 teams in the league, and then everybody else.
Mm. Well, definitely.
And right now, that number 1 team is head and shoulders above everybody else, in my opinion, right now. And until somebody knocks them off, I'm going to keep thinking that way.
Well, I mean, even if you leave the Warriors out of it, you look at the other playoff series, they definitely back your train of thought that it's top-heavy. I mean, all the teams with the top seeds are dominating the ones with the lower seeds. So you definitely have that going. I tell you this, man. And Dave, I'm gonna get your opinion on this too. I really want to see Milwaukee shock the world and beat the Warriors. If they could even take them to 7 games, I think that would be impressive. You guys know I love Antetokounmpo. I love the Greek Freak. So, and yes, Dave, I am going to pronounce that one just for you because I still remember our conversation from the wedding. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, look, I think that, like Eric said, I mean, even if you go 1 through 16, I mean, the league is still extremely top-heavy, and unless they put some type of restriction on the amount of, max player contracts you can have on your team, it's always going to probably stay that way. But I really think that seeing 1 through 16 would make things a lot more interesting, at least in the earlier rounds. And I mean, if that was kind of the case, you would also be talking about, a conference finals with Golden State and Houston, or you could even be ending up with a championship that was Golden State and Houston. And I think that those are the benefits of having the 1 through 16 instead of the, 8 and 8 from each conference. But the league's going to do what they think makes them the most money. And for right now, this model works for them. So until it stops working, they're not probably going to change anything. But I think that would be really cool if they did that 1 through 16. And just to kind of go off with your cousin, I hate to break this to you, but even with Kawhi Leonard, the Raptors are choke artists. I mean,
I just said that in the chat.
Yeah, Kyle Lowry has proven over and over again he is basically invisible during the playoffs. And even when he does play good, he's not somebody that can put his team on his back and carry him. I'm a huge Kawhi Leonard fan, and I think that they could play really good with Kawhi on the court. But when it's all said and done, there's not enough around him on that team to get him past the Warriors, or I think even Milwaukee or Boston. I don't think they could beat any one of those three teams in 7. So I get it, and kind of like Erich said about Golden State before, where until they're knocked off, you're going to keep having them as a favorite. Toronto, to me, is the same thing. Until they can actually show me that they can win more than a playoff series, and considering this was the year without LeBron, and you figure they'd be able to make big moves, they still haven't looked like a team good enough to be able to make a move that would get them to the finals to even compete with Golden State, let alone beat them.
And I love Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated centers of like the last 10 or 15 years. I think I will always defend Marc Gasol. But, yeah.
You know what I would think would shake the playoffs up? You know, and I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it. We need to go back to the way they used to do the playoffs. 5-game series. You want to shake things up? Do it in 5.
Listen.
Don't let a team come back. Don't let a team come back. If one of the top seeds gets down early, they stumble out of the gates, they get beat. I think a 7-game series, it allows those really good teams to correct their mistakes. Even if they go down 0-2, they don't get rattled. They come back and they find a way to get it done. Now, I know that the top seeds really haven't had a problem so far in these playoffs, so I'm just saying maybe that might shake things up. I prefer a 5-game series. I think everybody going to 7-game series is just too much. Just nonsense. Well, no reason you can't do 5, other than the fact is they want to make more money off of 2 more playoff games.
Well, I tell you this, man. I never understood why they changed the first round from 5 to 7 games. Like, it's been about, 10, 15 years since they changed that, and I never got that.
It's strictly due to money, and deep down inside, we all know it's due to money.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get that. But you look, I mean, the ratings are down for the first week. I mean, nobody's watching the first round of the playoffs because everybody knows it's bullshit at this point.
Well, yeah, and I mean, if you think about it, if you go with a 5-game first round, all of a sudden the Nets winning game 1 against Toronto
has that much more meaning.
It has one hell of a bigger impact compared to everybody that's like us who have seen it enough times to be like, all right, they lost game 1. Maybe they lose one more game, but they'll win in 6 at worst. You play a 5-game series, and then you want to talk about really shifting the pressure on the Toronto to step up and win some games. I mean, entertainment-wise and for suspense, it makes a hell of a lot more sense to have 5, at least in that first round. But that's not what's going to make them more money. If it goes 7 games, that's 2 more games. They get the opportunity to put fans in the stands and people on their couches watching the games.
Yeah, I mean, like, and Erich, we'll go to you in a second here. You want to talk about entertainment? Like, I remember when, the Nuggets with the Dikembe Mutombo beat the Sonics in 5 games, and they beat the 1 seed, first time that had ever happened. And then the Knicks beating the Heat, 8 seed beating the 1 seed, and they make it all the way to the NBA Finals. And I know there have been a couple others since then. I think the Warriors did it 1 year in the early 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. But does anybody, I mean, we talk about the top head, does anybody believe an 8 can beat a 1 seed anymore?
Not in the NBA. I believe in hockey because we just watched it.
Yeah.
We watched it this. You want to talk about exciting playoffs? Those are some exciting playoffs. Right now, the NBA is not worth watching. You want to talk about ratings down for the first round? Expect more of the same for the second round. Nobody really cares. The only series that's going to get any ratings is the Golden State Houston series. Outside of that, everything else, nobody's going to give a damn about the rest of them.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you on that one, Art. Yeah. All right, so we keep moving here. We got about 8 minutes left here. So let's talk NFL draft. Let's talk about a little NFL draft on Thursday night. Now, I have no intention of watching the NFL draft on Thursday night, the first round, because I'm going to be at Avengers Endgame. But do we expect anything big to happen here? Does anybody think anything major is going to happen that really turns the draft on its head this year? Does anybody think Dwayne Haskins is going in the top 5? And Erich, I will start with you on that one.
No, I think the biggest thing that could shake anything up is if the Cardinals really don't take Kyler Murray. It could shake things up near the top. But outside of that, I think that, I mean, Haskins could go early. I expect quarterbacks to, at least the top three there with Jones out of Duke, Haskins and Murray all going obviously in the first round. I think all inside the top 20, with Haskins and Murray both going inside the top 10. So I don't think that, but I don't think either of those are surprising to anybody. I don't think anything shocking is going to happen outside of maybe possible trades. I don't know who's looking to move up, or who's looking to move back, but those could be the only things I think that would really shake the draft up. And right now, I think that it's more talk than anything else, and I don't think that anybody's really looking to shake anything up that bad.
Now, my cousin brings up an interesting point in the chat room, and it's one that I was kind of talking about, kind of thinking about bringing up here. Does anybody think it's possible, like you want to talk about shaking up the first round, what if no quarterbacks go in the first round? Because it doesn't really seem like anybody's that sold on Haskins, and it seems like the Cardinals are the only ones who really like Murray here. So do we see a scenario where no quarterbacks get taken in the first round? It has happened before.
No, I'm not going to happen.
I'm sorry. Okay, Eric's saying no. Dave, say what you were saying again.
Not league.
Not really.
Well, I can't see it. I don't see that happening in today's world. Not in today's NFL. Quarterback's too highly valued.
Yeah, quarterback's too highly valued. Go ahead.
No, it's the number one position right now. It's the number one valued position. You listen to Mache or Kuiper or any of those guys, they're all saying it. You got to go quarterback. It's the most valued position, this and that. You can get them for cheap right now on a rookie deal if you're looking for somebody. And, I can't see teams like the Dolphins and whatever. The Dolphins are going to try to draft somebody. I can't imagine that they would pass up Murray if he happens to fall to him. You know what I mean? So I definitely cannot see that. There's definitely no way that quarterback's not getting taken in the first round, and I would probably bet every bit of money I have at least two are getting drafted in the first round.
Two in the first round.
At least two.
Well, I mean, here's my thing on this, and I'll try to make this short because we got a little less than 6 minutes left here. But, yes, quarterback is the most valued position in the NFL. Yes, you brought up the rookie deal, that whole thing. But does anybody want to really risk taking the next Jamarcus Russell or the next Sam Bradford or someone along those lines, or like an E.J. Manuel or something like that? Because everything I've heard makes me feel like that's what you're kind of looking at with this Murray and Hoskins. Like Jones, to me, has a shot to be a legitimate quarterback. And I don't see him getting taken in the first round unless the Giants want to take him with that second first-round pick there. So I think the possibility is there. I'm not going to lie. But, Dave, why don't you respond to that and then we'll go back there.
Well, I mean, I can just kind of go off what your cousin just said. It really doesn't matter at this point if you miss on a quarterback due to the salary cap on rookies. It's not how it used to be where you draft a guy in the top 10 and you have to give him, $20, $30, $40 million in guaranteed money. And then if he's a bust, it sets back your salary cap by a couple years. So, I mean, they're going to take quarterbacks. I think 2 is your minimum. I think 4 is going to be your maximum. The Patriots at 32 are kind of a real question whether they're going to go with a quarterback or a tight end. I think those are the 2 most likely positions that they're going to go after with the 32nd pick. I mean, to me, I'm the most intrigued by Oakland at 4. I mean, it's just constantly some type of drama or news or info coming out, and they're going to shake the world with the number 4 overall pick and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, I don't know what they're going to do. I'm genuinely lost on what they're going to do, and I think whatever they do really kind of sets the tempo for the remainder of the draft. Whether they trade back, they trade up, they take a guy that nobody has projected in the top 5. Who the hell knows? But they're the question mark to me, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see, maybe they package the 4 and Derek Carr for, the number 1 pick or the number 2 pick to try and get, one of the top quarterbacks. I mean, it kind of goes on and on. I think Oakland, though, is really kind of the team that's going to set the tone for the rest of the first round.
I think moving up for the first round pick and trading Carr would be a terrible idea, truthfully, because I don't think any of these quarterbacks are going to be anywhere close to as good as Derek Carr. I like Carr. So, all right. Well, I do believe that is going to do it for us here tonight. We got about 3 minutes left here. So I will say good night, Dave. I know you kind of want to get out of here a little early anyway, so I will throw it to you guys for your final words. Dave Hastings.
I mean, as always, it's a pleasure. Avengers Endgame next week, so I won't be here next week. I'm going to the 6:30 showing in Parsippany. Not that, Mike, you know what I'm talking about. Eric, I know you know what I'm talking about at least. But yeah, it's 6:30 showing, so I mean, 3-hour movie. So I mean, I'll try to call in as soon as I get out on my ride home and see if I can catch the last few minutes with you guys. But outside of that, I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the Battle of Winterfell. Hopefully by next Tuesday, Eric's happy to talk about Game of Thrones.
I don't understand it. I don't. But anyway,
I get it.
No, but you were probably Mike. You were probably somebody who loved when Joffrey was king of King's Landing.
Really,
you know what I mean?
That's what
I'll tell you what.
Stop.
That's what I'm going with. You probably loved that storyline. I hated it. I almost turned the show off until they killed him off. I was so sick of looking at his smug little face. I hated him.
So you're at least enjoying his death then, Eric.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Eric, you are the Ramsey Bolton of this show. I am calling you the Ramsey Bolton of this show.
He's another one I couldn't stand.
All right. Before I cut you off, final words. Eric Tressler, everybody.
You're getting a little too sweaty over Game of Thrones over there. You want to back that off? Wasn't that good? And everybody out there that's like, oh my God, if you didn't love this episode filled with a bunch of nonsense, then you're not really a fan. I'm a fan. I'm just a fan of the action. Give me what I'm coming for. I'm coming for White Walkers and dragons and battles. That's what I want. Give me what I want. And more than just one episode of it. Great, we're going to get episode 3 that's supposed to be the big battle. There better be more battles than that. Come on!
All I will say to you, Eric, is I am not a person that likes to blow my load early. I like to savor it, and that's what we have done this season. And with that, we will say goodnight. For Erich Tressler and Dave Hastings, thank you, everybody, for listening. This is SportsZone. I am Mike Aglioloro. We will see y'all next week.